Good day, everyone. I am Edwin Impasha Jr., a PhD ITI student. So today I am going to present to you my research title, Comparing the Effectiveness of In-Class and Online Learning, a paired t-test analysis of the difference in score. So the COVID-19 pandemic has brought a significant shift in the way education is delivered. So, with the closure of schools and universities, students and educators have had to adapt to online learning methods. So, while in class learning has been the traditional way of education, online learning has emerged as an alternative means of delivering education. As we move forward, it's important to understand the effectiveness of both in-class and online learning and to determine which one is better suited to meet the needs of the students. So in this study, we will be using a paired t-test analysis to compare the effectiveness of in-class and online learning by analyzing the difference in score between the two methods. So this analysis will provide a valuable insights into the effectiveness of different modes of instructions and inform decisions about the future of educations. So our objectives is to compare the effectiveness of in-class and online learning method. Second is to determine if there is a statistically significant difference in scores between in-class and online learning. The third is to identify the strength and weakness of both in-class and online learning methods. And lastly, to provide insights and recommendations for educators and students based on the results for the analysis. So the issue is being addressed is the effectiveness of different modes of learning, specifically in-class and online learning in terms of student performance. So the question is, first, is there a significant difference in score between students who learned in class and those who learned online? The second, which mode of learning in class or online is more effective in terms of improving student performance? And lastly, what are the strengths and weakness of in-class and online learning, and how can they be improved to enhance student learning outcomes? So the justification is the issue of comparing the effectiveness of in-class and online learning is interesting because of the increasing popularity of online learning, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic. So understanding the comparative effectiveness of these two modes of learnings can inform education policy and improve student learning outcomes. So the answer to the question posed earlier will contribute to existing knowledge by providing empirical evidence on the relative effectiveness of in-class and online learning. So this study is relevant because it has practical implications for educators, policymakers, and students. So the data for this analysis will be obtained from 100 selected students of Marvel's College of Technology Incorporated who took the same course using both in-class and online learning modes. So Marvelous College of Technology Incorporated is the best source for this analysis because it offers both in-class and online courses in the same subject area. So a limitation of this data source is that it may not be representative of other institution or subject areas. So the appropriate statistical technique for this analysis is a paired t-test to compare the means of the two dependent groups, the students who took the same groups using both in-class and online learning modes. So the t-test will determine whether there is a significant difference in the mean scores of the two groups and whether this difference is statistically significant. So the audience for this analysis includes educators, policymakers, and students who are interested in the comparative effectiveness of in-class and online learning. So educators and policymakers can use the result to inform their decision on the mode of learning to adapt, while students can use the results to make informed choices on the mode of learning that is most effective for them. So, the first thing that we are going to do is to open the just and and import the gathered data. Okay, so I already opened the just, and let's open the gathered data. So So here is the score of students who took the in-class and the scores of students who took the online class. But before we start, we have to check first the descriptive. The purpose of this descriptive is for us to know if there is a normality within our data. So you have to first put our variables in this area, and I am going to check the skewness, kurtosis, Shapiro-Wilk, and the mean. So in this area, you can see the result. So the mean of the in-class is 38.380, while the online class is 37.350. The skewness is standard error of skewness is 0.241. Same with the online class. The kurtosis is 0.478. Same with online class. The Shapiro-Wilk is less than 0.001, which means that our data is normal. The next that we are going to see is to see the QQ plots and the box plots. So as you can see in the result, as you can see in our result, that it is normally distributed. So here in QQ plots, there are some even though there are some data that not in the line, but most data, as you can see, is in the line. So therefore, we can conclude, or we can say that the data is normally distributed. So moving on, let's move to our main goal, which is the paired t-test. So here we are going to just click this t-test. So the t-test is a statistical test used to compare the means of two groups. It is commonly used to determine whether there is a significant difference between the means of two populations based on a sample data. So there are several types of t-tests, but the most commonly used one is the two-sample t-test, also known as the independent sample t-test. which compares the means of two independent samples. Another type of t-test is the paired t-test, also known as the dependent sample t-test, which compares the means of two related samples such as before and after measurements on the same individuals. That's why we are going to use a paired t-test. So here you have to click the t-test and click this paired sample t-test. Then we have to put the in-class and online class to the variables. And here you can see the result of the paired sample t-test. Also, we have to check its descriptive. So here is the result. In paired sample t-test, our p is 0. Or our p-value is 0.057, and in descriptives, our mean in class is 38.380, while the online class is 37.350. So based on the results and discussion, Table 1 shows that the scores of students who take the online class is M equals to 37.350 and S is equals to 4.635 is lower than their score in class, which is M is equals to 38.380 and S is 6.291. So in table 2, paired sample statistic of in-class and online class. So based on the paired t-test result with a p-value of 0.57, we cannot reject the which means we cannot reject the null hypothesis at the conventional alpha level of 0.05. So this means that there is no significant difference in the mean scores between the students who took the in-class and online modes of learning. However, it is important to note that the p-value is very close to the alpha level, indicating that there may be a small difference that is not statistically significant due to the sample size or other factors. So therefore, caution should be exercised in interpreting the results, and further investigations may be needed to determine the true difference, if any, between the two modes of learning. So our conclusion based on the paired t-test analysis of the difference in scores between in-class and online learning, the result shows that the mean score of students who took the in-class mode of learning is M is equals to 38.380 and S is equals to 6.91 is higher than the mean score of students who took the online mode of learning, which is M is equals to 37.350 and S is equals to 4.635. However, the difference in means is not statistically significant, with a p-value of 0.057, which is greater than the conventional alpha level of 0.05. So therefore, we cannot conclude that certainty that in-class learning is more effective than online learning in improving student performance in this particular course. So the results suggest that the difference between the two modes of learning may be due to chance, and further investigations may be needed to determine whether this is the case. So it is important to note that these results are specific to the subject area and institution from which the data was collected and may not be generalizable to other subject areas or institutions. So nonetheless, the findings can still provide insights for educators, policymakers, and students who are considering the mode of learning to adopt. So our recommendation or my recommendation, so based on the result of the paired t-test, which indicates that there is no significant difference in the effectiveness of in-class and online learning modes in improving student performance, the following recommendation can be made. So number one is institutions should consider offering both in-class and online learning modes to accommodate the different needs and preference of students. So students should be provided with informations about the advantage and disadvantage of both modes of learning and given the opportunity to choose the mode that is most suitable for them. Number two, educators should consider the course content and learning objectives when deciding on the mode of learning to adopt. So some courses may be more effectively taught using the in-class mode while others may be more effectively taught using online mode. So therefore, educators should consider the unique needs of each course and tailor their teaching methods accordingly. Number three, institutions should provide training and resources to educators to support the effective implementation of both in-class and online learning modes. So this can include training on best practices for teaching in different modes, technology, support, and resources for developing course content for different modes of learning. And lastly, further research should be conducted to investigate the comparative effectiveness of in-class and online learning in other subject areas, and institutions to provide a more comprehensive understanding of the factors that influence the effectiveness of different modes of learning. So the result of this paired t-test suggests that both in-class and online learning modes can be effective in improving student performance. So therefore, institutions should consider offering both modes of learning to accommodate the diverse needs and preference of students. While educators should tailor their teaching methods based on the unique needs of each course. So that would be all. Thank you for listening.